This is not the story of the collapse of a cryptocurrency empire. This is the story of the collapse of the founder and CEO of FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried himself.
It's one of the largest and fastest growing crypto exchanges in the world, and Sam is the CEO. Some estimates that say $1 billion in revenue last year.
Those numbers are reasonable. It sometimes feels like the world is just going sort of in slow motion around us and that we're going at, about an average speed.
He is not your usual billionaire. This guy is a new breed of entrepreneur.
Now I want to talk about your beanbag chair and if that's one of the secrets to becoming a whale.
Oh, certainly. You can't do it without that.
At his peak in 2022, when the crypto market was soaring, the net worth of Sam Bankman-Fried, SBF, as he was known, was reportedly $16 billion US. His company was worth twice that, trading billions of dollars in crypto a day. Then it all came crashing down.
The story is, the story of a guy who sort of flew too close to the sun.
Sam Bankman-Fried was found guilty.
Guilty.
He is going to be going away for a very long time.
And it is, to me, amazing that like 3 years ago, nobody knew who you were. And now you're sitting on the cover of magazines and you're a gazillionaire.
Almost everyone knows SBF for his crypto exchange, FTX, a place where people bought and sold things like Bitcoin and Ethereum.
We raised, all things considered, a couple $1 billion last year.
But it was the company he co-founded before FTX that ultimately did him in. A high-risk trading firm that speculated on the crypto market that he seemed to very deliberately want to fly under the radar.
Especially in 2017, if you named your company like, we do cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, arbitrage, multinational stuff, no one's going to give you a bank account if that's your company name.
So he called his company Alameda Research. Sounds pretty legit, right? I won't get into the intricacies of how it all worked. I actually explain all of that in another video. But what you need to know is that it was like a money sponge that leaked everything.
They were supposed to be these financial whiz kids, but they lost a lot of money and they made some very bad bets.
The money it soaked up only to evaporate, customer money and investor money. All of those people who had faith in Bankman-Fried's next startup, FTX. Let me explain. According to multiple investment data companies like The Block and PitchBook, SBF raised almost $2 billion in startup capital for his brand new cryptocurrency exchange. And this was smart money. Big institutional investors like Sequoia Capital, SoftBank, Tiger Global, Temasek, companies with hundreds of billions of dollars in their portfolios. They saw promise in FTX, but what ended up happening was that billions of dollars entrusted to it were siphoned off, effectively loaned to Alameda Research to prop it up.
In the end, about $8 billion worth of money was sent from FTX customer accounts to this account controlled by Alameda.
There would turn out to be no hope of getting that money back. But while the going was good for Bankman-Fried, it was very good. Bankman-Fried must have had whiplash. In a very short time, he went from being a nobody to living here. SBF moved into the crown jewel of an oceanside resort in the Bahamas called the Orchid. He and his friends, co-workers, it was a mix of both, lived in a nearly 12,000 square foot penthouse worth $35 million. And here's a colorful tidbit from CNBC. One of Bankman-Fried's iconic beanbags that he used for napping was apparently kept under the baby grand piano. CNBC called it a nerd dorm, and Sam Bankman-Fried's image was pretty iconic.
I don't have a lot of time for hobbies. I play some League of Legends quite badly. I watch way too much sports in the background.
Tousled hair, t-shirts, cargo shorts, as if to say he had more important things to worry about. Places to go on his private jets, money to make.
Like I was saying, it's FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
I don't think so.
Speaking of celebrities, Larry David was not the only one drawn in. Photos and videos started floating around of SBF mingling with A-listers like Bill Clinton, Katy Perry, Orlando Bloom. Katy Perry even posted this on her Instagram page. And it seemed like there was no end to the parade of celebrities willing to push FTX as a brand.
You know, the founder of FTX, Sam, he's very committed to that, setting a standard for what it means to be socially responsible within the successes of crypto, and I can get behind that as well.
And I have to disclose, I'm a paid spokesperson for that company. I'm backing their initiatives.
FTX is the safest and easiest way to buy and sell crypto. It's the best way to get in the game.
The FTX name was emblazoned across the arena of the Miami Heat. FTX Arena. They don't call it that anymore. In June 2021, a deal was struck with Major League Baseball to put the FTX logo on all umpire uniforms, which, in hindsight, really said something. FTX, the official arbiters of the game. They run the show. And as a metaphor for running the country, it wasn't all that far off.
Mr. Bankman-Fried, you are now recognized for 5 minutes to present your oral testimony.
It's an honor to be here.
Within a couple of years, Sam Bankman-Fried was ready to get political. That clip was from his testimony before Congress in 2021. The topic, innovation in American finance. And who better to speak on that than the 20-something-year-old genius who was the poster boy of an American success story?
My goal has been to find ways to have positive impact on the world and to maximize that. But I think that the industry has the potential to improve a lot of people's lives.
So this was a guy who, professed to think that he could solve a lot of the world's most sort of intractable long-term problems through the force of his own intelligence, his wealth.
His ambitions were huge. And he talked about buying Goldman Sachs. He talked about FTX becoming a place where you could buy a banana or a derivative. He talked about it becoming the biggest financial institution in the world.
According to public records, he also put his money where his mouth was.
Recently, he's used that money to become one of the biggest donors in this year's midterm election.
Ahead of the U.S. midterms last year, he gave at least $40 million to politicians and political action committees, mostly those leading Democrat.
This was someone who was really emerging before his fall as a kind of titanic figure in American politics.
Bankman-Fried was, in fact, according to one nonprofit tracking campaign spending, the second overall top donor to Democrats, only behind George Soros. The author of Going Infinite, a book about the rise and fall of Bankman-Fried, even writes about a plan SBF apparently concocted to buy off Donald Trump to get him to stay out of the next presidential race. $5 billion was one number floating around. And here's the kicker. According to testimony during SBF's trial, he also allegedly thought he had a shot at becoming US president someday. Yes, things were indeed looking up. As one internal company sales pitch reportedly put it, FTX has the cleanest brand in crypto. The rest, as they say, is history. A tweet from Bankman-Fried on November 7th last year, FTX is fine. Assets are fine. That post would be deleted 1 day later. 4 days later, FTX filed for bankruptcy as customers all over the world furiously tried to withdraw their money.
It's an $8 billion hole in FTX's balance sheet.
Investors and retail traders are shaken right now.
SBF is still at his company's headquarters in the Bahamas, hunkered down in a sort of war room surrounded by some trusted employees.
In December, Bankman-Fried was arrested and extradited to the United States. He was freed on a $250 million bond on the condition that he be electronically monitored and that he live with his parents in California. His former colleagues, his friends, even his ex would testify against him, explaining how he used Alameda Research to skim billions of dollars from customers at FTX and how he directed others to commit the crimes that would ultimately bring an entire empire crashing down.
These were two witnesses with what could be seen as some very problematic statements for Sam Bankman-Fried, because basically both were portraying, a lot of wrongdoing on the part of FTX and Alameda, but at the direction of Sam. Sam was, kind of steering this ship.
They were really important people in his life, some of the closest people to him. And when they turned on him and told the jury, this guy directed us to commit crimes, and we did those, and we committed crimes with him, it was really powerful.
It took a New York jury less than 5 hours to agree on a verdict. Guilty of 7 counts of fraud and conspiracy. For his crimes, costing customers at least $10 billion of their own money, SBF could spend more than 100 years in prison if he serves his time consecutively. His sentencing scheduled for March 28th next year.